Chosen one, you'll rest in divine abundance. God decided this message is not just for your ears, but for your spirit, for your entire being that has longed for peace, stability, and divine confirmation. Life has not been easy. Storms have come, doubts have weighed on your shoulders, and sometimes you wondered whether all of your sacrifices would ever be worth it. Yet here is the truth. The decision has already been made in your favor. God Himself has determined that you will not live forever in lack, in fear, in uncertainty. Instead, you will enter a season where you will rest, not merely in the sense of physical stillness, but in the deepest form of peace, resting in divine abundance. This is not ordinary abundance. It is the kind that brings wholeness, that covers your material, emotional, and spiritual needs, that fills you so completely that anxiety cannot breathe in the same room as you. The moment has come where your name is written into a new story, and that story is wealth of the soul, wealth of resources, wealth of opportunities, and wealth of purpose. You are not stumbling into this. You are being led into it. And once you step in, no force, no scheme, no hand can pull you out of it. Chosen one, before we dive deep, let me pause and speak to your heart. This video is meant for you, and it is important that you stay with me until the end. The words you're hearing are not casual. They are carrying energy, life, and alignment with what God has already arranged for you. Write your warmest wishes in the comments to release them into the atmosphere as living seeds. And don't forget to also write 99, a number that signals completion, sealing, and universal movement in your favor. When you write your wishes and 99, you are not simply typing words. You are activating and energy-releasing intentions that rise into the universe and return multiplied. Now, chosen one, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's begin. For many, rest seems like weakness, but in truth, rest is the highest form of strength because it means you trust. To rest in divine abundance is to live, knowing that you no longer have to chase, fight, or beg for what was already promised to you. It means living in the certainty that provision is not a question mark hovering over your head, but a constant stream flowing in your direction. Divine abundance is not just about money, though it surely includes financial blessings. It is about balance, alignment, and wholeness. It is the abundance of love that heals loneliness, the abundance of peace that silences fear, the abundance of clarity that clears confusion, and the abundance of strength that renews your body and soul. This rest is different because it is not about what you can produce, but about what God already decided to release to you. You may have worked hard, you may have endured seasons of drought, but now this is the season where the weight is lifted and you are carried into overflow. This is where the chosen rest not by accident, but because the heavens declared it so. You see, abundance is not just about receiving, it is also about recognition. Recognition of who you are, recognition of what you carry, recognition of your worth. For too long, the world overlooked you, underestimated you, or tried to dismiss you. But divine abundance carries with it an unveiling. People will start to see the light that was always in you, the gifts that were always present, the value that was always undeniable. Abundance makes room for honor. When God decides abundance over you, He also decides to elevate you in the eyes of others. Suddenly, doors that once resisted you will swing open. Suddenly, opportunities that were blocked will flood in. Suddenly, resources that seem distant will find their way to you. And this shift is not random. It is carefully orchestrated. Resting in divine abundance means you don't have to manipulate outcomes or prove yourself to those who doubted you. Instead, you stand calm, radiant, and watch as everything aligns in your favor. This is the kind of rest that carries dignity, peace, and victory. But let's be honest, chosen one, the journey here was not simple. You were tested in ways others cannot imagine. You went through nights of tears, mornings of questions, and seasons where silence felt louder than answers. There were moments you thought you had been forgotten, but every delay was actually divine timing. Every obstacle was secretly a setup for your growth, so that when abundance finally came, you would not only receive it, you would sustain it. Because abundance without wisdom collapses, but abundance with a prepared chosen one creates legacy. That is why God waited until now. That is why the rest comes now. You have been stretched, refined, and shaped, and now you are ready to handle what is coming with grace, gratitude, and wisdom. This rest is not fragile. It is fortified. This abundance is not temporary. It is eternal in its flow. Abundance also means healing the old scars of scarcity. When you rest in divine abundance, the fear of not having enough fades away. You no longer make decisions out of desperation or survival mode. Instead, you operate out of overflow. Imagine walking into a room and no longer worrying if you belong. Imagine making decisions without calculating how little you have left. Imagine giving generously, freely, joyfully, because you know that supply never runs out. That is what divine abundance does. It shifts your mindset from lack to limitless. It doesn't just change your bank account, it changes your identity. You stop calling yourself a struggler and start identifying as a vessel of blessing. You stop waiting for scraps and start expecting feasts. You stop shrinking to fit into places that cannot hold you and start expanding into the spaces God built for you. This is not arrogance. It is divine confidence. This is not entitlement. It is inheritance. And when you finally rest in it, you realize you were never meant to carry the weight alone. You were always meant to be carried into glory. Chosen one. Abundance also comes with protection. Many fear that when they rise, enemies will come or that blessings will attract jealousy. But divine abundance is not just about what comes in. It is about what is kept safe. When God decides abundance over you, he also builds a shield around it. No thief can touch it. No plot can drain it. No darkness can dim it. The abundance you are about to rest in will not slip through your fingers because it was not built on fragile foundations. It is sealed, guarded, and maintained by divine hands. That means you can rest without paranoia. You can enjoy without guilt. You can live without fear. You are stepping into a season where peace will guard your nights and joy will greet your mornings. You will not have to fight every day just to hold on to what is yours. Instead, you will rest because heaven has secured it. And this is why this message is not just encouragement. It is declaration. The divine decision has already been made. It is not pending. It is not up for debate. You will rest in abundance. Your story is shifting from struggle to strength, from labor to legacy, from anxiety to assurance. You are chosen not only to receive abundance, but to embody it. You will become a living example of what it looks like when heaven funds a life, when destiny aligns, and when faith is rewarded. Those who doubted will see. Those who mocked will witness. Those who left will regret. And you will simply rest, because your position is not earned by their approval, but by divine decree. This abundance is not just enough for you. It is enough to pour into generations after you. It is the kind of abundance that writes history, builds futures, and breaks cycles of lack. It is not ordinary, and neither are you. Chosen one, when you hear the words that you will rest in divine abundance, it is easy for the mind to immediately leap to financial gain, to wealth in the material sense. And while that is part of what is being poured into your life, the meaning of this season goes far deeper. Because divine abundance is not just about having more, it is about being more. It is about living in a reality where the blessings that surround you are not limited to coins or bills, but to harmony, to restoration, to the joy of waking up and knowing that you are no longer running against the storm, but walking with the wind at your back, carrying you forward with ease, lifting you higher without you straining every muscle of your soul just to stay afloat. Because rest means that the struggle that once defined you no longer defines you. And abundance means that the emptiness that once haunted you is now filled beyond measure. The truth about divine abundance is that it touches every level of your existence. It is not only about what rests in your hand, but about what rests in your heart. It is the abundance of peace that calms your thoughts when worry tries to rise. It is the abundance of love that surrounds you so that you never feel isolated. It is the abundance of clarity that comes when you no longer wander in circles wondering if you are lost, because suddenly the path becomes clear and the steps become light. This is abundance that makes you whole, that brings balance where chaos once reigned, and that breathes stability into areas of your life that once felt shaky, fragile, and ready to break. When God decides abundance for you, He does not stop at one corner of your being. He floods every space. He fills every cup. He rebuilds every broken wall. And He turns every dry place into a riverbed overflowing with life. Resting in this abundance also means you finally come to understand that your worth was never tied to exhaustion. It was never tied to how much pain you could endure, how much weight you could carry, or how much sacrifice you could pour out before collapsing. For too long, you have been trained to believe that the only way to achieve anything was to push harder, to break yourself in order to prove yourself, to burn until nothing was left. But divine abundance says otherwise. Divine abundance whispers to you that you are not valuable because you suffered. You are valuable because you are chosen. You are valuable because your existence carries divine fingerprints. And now you will learn how to thrive without burning, how to receive without begging, how to stand without shaking, how to glow without forcing. Because the decision has already been made that your portion will be peace, fullness, and sufficiency. Chosen one, resting in abundance also brings a holy kind of rhythm to your days. No longer will you wake up in fear of what will go wrong. No longer will you go to bed wondering how you will make it tomorrow, because rest means trust, and abundance means supply. You will live with the calm assurance that what you need is already on its way before you even call for it. This is not laziness. This is alignment. This is not passivity. This is trust in divine provision. Imagine walking into each day not frantic, not restless, not consumed by the fear of running out, but walking calmly, knowing that supply flows like oxygen, always present, always available, always enough. This is the kind of life you are being lifted into, a life where your soul rests even when the world rushes, a life where your heart beats steady even when storms rage around you, because your foundation is not built on shifting sand, but on the unshakable decree of abundance. And this rest is not only for you, it is for those connected to you. the moment you enter into divine abundance, the people who are tied to your destiny also begin to feel the overflow. Family members who once looked to you with worry will now look with relief. Friends who once wondered how you would survive will now marvel at how you thrive. Strangers who cross your path will feel the peace radiating from you as though they touched a well of calm just by standing near you. That is the power of abundance. It multiplies, it overflows, it touches, it transforms, it extends far beyond your own borders. You are chosen not only to rest, but to spread rest, not only to be filled, but to fill others, not only to rise, but to raise others. This is divine abundance in motion. It does not end with you. It begins with you and continues as a river flowing outward. Chosen one, let us also remember that abundance is not just about what comes in, but about what leaves. To rest in abundance means you no longer cling tightly in fear of losing. You no longer hoard because you are afraid that nothing else will come. Instead, you release freely. You give with joy. You share with confidence because you know that what you pour out is only a fraction of what is pouring in. Scarcity teaches people to grip tightly. Abundance teaches people to open their hands. And in this season of rest, your hands will no longer tremble. Your giving will no longer be reluctant because you will have more than enough to meet your needs and to bless others beyond what you imagined. This is the cycle of abundance. It comes, it flows, it multiplies, it returns, and you, chosen one, are at the center of this cycle. Not as a beggar, but as a distributor, not as the one overlooked, but as the one appointed to overflow. And so, understand this deeply. God's decision for you to rest in divine abundance is final. It is not temporary. It is not fragile. It is not conditional on the opinions of others. It is not at risk of being reversed. It has been written, sealed, and released. No one can cancel what has been decided in your favor. That is why you will not collapse under pressure anymore. That is why you will not live in fear of tomorrow anymore. That is why you will not drag yourself through endless cycles of exhaustion anymore. You are moving into a place where abundance becomes your atmosphere, where rest becomes your natural posture, where joy becomes your daily song. This is who you are now. This is what is unfolding. And this is the promise you are stepping into, not because you begged for it, not because you earned it, but because God decided. Chosen one, when we speak of resting in divine abundance, we must also speak of the breaking of cycles that kept you bound in scarcity, because this rest is not just about comfort. It is about liberation. It is about release from patterns that were never designed for you. Patterns that told you to always expect the bare minimum. Patterns that conditioned you to think that miracles were for others, but not for you. And patterns that trained you to live on survival instead of overflow. Divine abundance interrupts those cycles. It declares that you will not live the same story your ancestors lived, that you will not carry forward the chains of insufficiency, that you will not pass down to the next generation the fear of never having enough. Instead, abundance writes a new script through your life. You will be the one who introduces new patterns, patterns of overflow, patterns of generosity, patterns of ease, patterns of supernatural supply, patterns of wealth, not just in money, but in wisdom, in peace, and in divine stability. Resting in this abundance means you are no longer fighting the same old battles. You are stepping onto new ground, free ground, holy ground. And from here, you build a legacy that cannot be shaken. And this is where the beauty of abundance reveals itself. because it is not just about what you receive in this season, but about the foundations you lay for those who will come after you. Think about it. Divine abundance is not random. It is strategic. It arrives when you are ready not only to hold it, but to multiply it. Not only to enjoy it, but to pass it forward. When you rest in divine abundance, you stop the inheritance of fear and replace it with the inheritance of faith. You stop the inheritance of debt and replace it with the inheritance of wealth. You stop the inheritance of brokenness and replace it with the inheritance of wholeness. This is why God chose you for this moment, because He knew that through you, cycles of lack would end and legacies of abundance would begin. You are not only living for yourself. You are the root of a tree whose branches will shade generations, whose fruit will feed nations, whose presence will testify of divine provision long after your time. That is the power of resting in abundance. It secures a future beyond your own lifetime. Chosen one, resting in divine abundance also shifts the way you view time. Scarcity always rushes, always panics, always feels like time is slipping away. But abundance teaches patience. Abundance teaches trust in divine timing. Abundance teaches that nothing is late when it is aligned. Nothing is missing when it is meant for you. Nothing is lost when it was written into your story. When you rest, you begin to see that what once looked like delay was actually preparation. What once felt like loss was actually redirection. What once appeared as silence was actually the gathering of greater blessings behind the curtain. Abundance allows you to breathe again, to stop fighting against the flow of time, and to instead move with it, knowing that every moment is carrying you deeper into your destiny. You no longer count the days with anxiety. You measure them with gratitude. You no longer wonder if you are too late. You realize that you are right on time. This is rest. This is abundance. And this is the freedom you are entering. And understand this. Divine abundance does not mean there will never again be challenges. But it does mean that challenges will not drain you the way they once did. Because when you are rooted in abundance, even difficulties cannot shake your stability. You face obstacles with resources you did not have before, with wisdom you did not carry before, with strength you did not access before. Resting in abundance means that problems no longer terrify you. They no longer paralyze you because you know you are equipped. You know you are covered. You know you are funded by heaven itself. Scarcity left you trembling at every setback. Abundance allows you to rise above them, to navigate them with peace, to use them as stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. This shift is not small. It is transformational because it changes your entire posture toward life. You are no longer surviving. You are thriving. You are no longer scrambling. You are soaring. And that difference is what sets you apart as chosen. Chosen one. Another truth about resting in divine abundance is that it restores joy to your journey. Think back on how many times joy was stolen from you. How many times you had to push forward with heaviness in your heart. How many times laughter felt like a luxury you could not afford. Abundance restores that joy. It gives you the freedom to smile without guilt, to celebrate without fear, to live without the constant shadow of what if everything falls apart. Resting in abundance means the lightness of joy returns to your days. You begin to sing again. You begin to dream again. You begin to play again. Not because life is suddenly perfect, but because you know you are held. You know you are covered. You know you are secure. This joy is not shallow. It is deep. It is resilient. It flows from the certainty that you are no longer walking alone, no longer scraping to survive, but instead you are carried by an endless stream of goodness that cannot dry up. And so, chosen one, lift your head and realize that this abundance is already unfolding. It is not waiting for a distant future. It is moving even now. Every day you are stepping deeper into it. Every step you take is guided into greater fullness. Every door that opens is evidence of what has been decided in your favor. The rest you are entering is not a pause. It is a permanent shift. You are stepping out of striving and into settling. Stepping out of fear and into faith. Stepping out of lack and into overflow. And this shift will not only bless you, it will shock those who thought you were finished. It will surprise those who thought you would not rise. It will silence those who thought you would always remain in the shadows, because resting in divine abundance makes you radiant. It sets you apart. It clothes you in a glow that cannot be denied. You will not need to prove yourself anymore. Your abundance will speak for you. Chosen one, when divine abundance is decided over your life, it does more than simply provide for your needs. It builds a fortress around your destiny, a shield that protects what has been placed in your hands so that you do not have to live in fear of losing it. Because real abundance is not fragile. It does not slip away overnight. It does not vanish when opposition comes. It is preserved by the one who released it. And that means you can rest without suspicion. You can enjoy without paranoia. You can move forward without constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering if it will all crumble. Divine abundance is not like the temporary highs the world gives. It is anchored in eternity. It is sealed by decree. It is held in place by power greater than anything that could rise against you. When you finally understand this, your heart exhales in relief. Your shoulders release their weight, and you realize that the blessings you are stepping into are not only abundant, but secured. This kind of abundance elevates you, chosen one, because it does not allow you to remain hidden in corners of insignificance. It does not allow your gifts to stay buried where no one can see. It does not allow your voice to remain muted. Abundance is loud, not in arrogance, but in visibility. When divine abundance flows through your life, it puts you in places you never thought you would reach. It connects you with people you never imagined you would meet. It ushers you into rooms where your name is spoken with honor instead of dismissal. Resting in divine abundance means you no longer strive to be seen. You no longer beg for recognition. You no longer cry out for someone to notice you, because suddenly the light within you shines so brightly that it cannot be ignored. This is not about fame for the sake of attention. It is about influence for the sake of purpose. God elevates you through abundance so that what He placed in you can be used at the highest levels, so that the abundance in your life overflows into systems, communities, and even nations. And let us speak about destiny, chosen one, because divine abundance is not simply about this moment. It is about the fullness of your calling. It is about aligning everything you need so that you can walk in the purpose designed for you without constant hindrance, without endless distraction, without being drained by survival. Resting in abundance clears the clutter that once clouded your vision. Scarcity always forced you to focus on how you would make it through the day, how you would pay the next bill, how you would endure the next challenge. But abundance lifts you above that noise. It frees your mind to think bigger, to dream wider, to plan for futures instead of worrying about minutes. When you rest in abundance, you finally see destiny not as a distant fantasy, but as a reachable reality. Every step becomes steady. Every decision becomes clear because the resources, the connections, the strength, and the peace are all aligned to carry you forward. This is what it means to live under divine decision. You do not chase destiny. Destiny unfolds naturally before you. Chosen one, there is also a shift in how you carry yourself once abundance becomes your portion. Scarcity produces insecurity. It makes you doubt yourself. It makes you walk into rooms with hesitation. It makes you question your worth every time you face someone who appears stronger or richer. But abundance transforms your posture. You walk into rooms with quiet confidence. You speak with authority without arrogance. You live knowing that you are not empty-handed but overflowing. You do not shrink anymore. You do not apologize for your existence. You do not hide what you carry. Resting in divine abundance allows you to embody royalty, not because of titles given by men, but because of the identity stamped on you by heaven. Your abundance is not just external. It becomes internal. It becomes the way you see yourself, the way you believe in yourself, the way you move in alignment with your divine DNA. And let us not forget that abundance brings peace to your nights and light to your mornings. Think of how many times you laid down with a racing mind, worrying about what tomorrow might hold, calculating how little you had left, replaying your mistakes and fearing that you would not make it. Now imagine a life where you lay down in peace, not because everything is perfect, but because you know everything is provided for. Where you wake up not with dread, but with excitement, knowing that abundance is your atmosphere. This is not a dream. It is the reality being delivered to you. Resting in divine abundance means your sleep becomes sweet. Your mornings become joyful. Your days become lighter because you no longer live under the shadow of insufficiency. Scarcity steals rest. Abundance restores it. Scarcity steals peace. Abundance multiplies it. Scarcity steals energy. Abundance revives it. You will see this transformation unfold in your own life as the weight of worry dissolves and the calm of divine supply fills every corner of your being. Chosen one, understand that this rest is not passive. It is powerful. To rest in divine abundance is to declare that you trust in what has already been decided, that you will no longer exhaust yourself fighting battles that were never yours, that you will no longer drain yourself chasing what is already on its way. Rest is a position of power because it says you know who holds your future, you know who secures your path, and you know that abundance is not slipping away from you. This kind of rest radiates authority. It speaks louder than struggle. It silences doubt, and it tells every circumstance around you that you are no longer living on borrowed time or borrowed energy. You are standing firm, rooted, and covered. This is the rest of a chosen one. The rest of someone who knows that divine abundance is not temporary. It is eternal. It is sustained. It is unstoppable. Chosen one. Divine abundance does not stop with you. It radiates outward. It touches every relationship, every community, every circle you are connected to, because abundance by its very nature cannot remain contained. It overflows. It multiplies. It pours beyond the vessel that receives it. When you step into rest within divine abundance, your family begins to experience the ripple. Those who once worried about you now find themselves inspired by you. Those who once leaned on you for strength begin to discover that your abundance strengthens them too, not just through material support, but through the peace and stability that you now embody. You become a safe place for others, a light for those walking in confusion, a reminder that scarcity is not the final story. Resting in abundance changes the way you interact with people. Scarcity often created tension in relationships, because when resources were tight, when hope was dim, survival instincts made people defensive, fearful, and competitive. But abundance rewrites the script. When you rest in it, you no longer look at others with comparison or jealousy. You no longer calculate whether their blessing means less for you because you know that abundance flows without limit. You can celebrate others genuinely. You can support without hesitation. You can give without worrying what you lose, because you know that nothing is lost in abundance. This is the transformation that divine rest brings. It makes you someone who carries peace into every relationship, someone who does not operate out of fear, but out of fullness, someone whose presence itself calms storms because you are anchored in overflow. Chosen one. Communities are healed by people who rest in divine abundance. Think about it. Scarcity spreads fear. It makes communities shrink inward, hoard, compete, and divide. But abundance spreads generosity. It makes communities expand. It opens doors. It fosters collaboration instead of rivalry. When you are chosen to rest in abundance, your very life becomes a beacon that says there is more than enough. And this message changes the environment. Those who once thought they had to fight for scraps will begin to see through you that there is a higher way, that abundance is real, that overflow is possible. And without even realizing it, your abundance becomes a catalyst for collective healing. Because people are set free when they see living proof that scarcity is not permanent. You are not only blessed for your sake, you are blessed for the sake of others who need to witness abundance in action. And let us take it even further. Chosen one. Resting in divine abundance makes you a vessel of transformation for the world. You begin to carry influence not only in personal circles, but in wider spaces, because abundance is magnetic. It draws attention. It raises questions. It makes people curious about the source of your peace, the source of your stability, the source of your overflow,